Welcome into the I-80 Boys College Football Show. We've got a special treat for all of our college football fans. First week of the year, we've got Colorado taking on Georgia Tech, and we brought in a Georgia Tech super fan, Lane. My man, tell us about the Ramblin' Wreck here.
Man, I'm just ready for the season to start. A lot of excitement, a lot of new faces, a lot of good faces returning though. That's one thing I'm happy to see. I mean, you go offense, defense, whatever you like start. I love the fact that we got Haynes King and Jamal Haynes coming back, man. Those are the key pieces I want to see. But a lot of people I know say, well, Eric Singleton, leaving is going to be a big loss. And I'm not saying it ain't. But having, transfers like Eric Rivers, who was, I believe, top 5 in receiving yards last year and the whole country coming in, and a good big body in Dean Patterson, those I think will fit fantastic. Offensive line, Brinky, offensive line guru, in my opinion. I mean, I'm not too worried about offensive line. We lose a few pieces, but ain't nothing big. The defensive line is a bit interesting, though. That's really where I'm wanting us to make a statement, because I know we lose 2 of our better pass rushers, but we get some people like Brady Manley, AJ Hoffler, Aquila Stone actually coming back from Ole Miss. But I'm just so ready to get this going, man.
Well, good. Chris, what are your thoughts on Colorado here before we kind of segue back into this?
Yeah, you know my thoughts, Christian. I mean, we bring up Colorado quite a bit on the channel, and I mean, let's be honest. We talked about it. We did a preview and prediction video on Colorado this year, and it's not that I was coming across hating here. It's more just the fact that, like, you lose Travis Hunter, right? You lose Shador Sanders, probably 2 of the 5, 6 best players in the country last year in college football. These guys were elite. I don't care if you were Georgia. I don't care if you're Bama, Ohio State, Oregon, whoever. It's going to be tough to replicate, the production loss there on really both sides of the ball with, Hunter, playing both ways. But I think Colorado this year, you'll talk about them here, Christian, in a minute, offensively and the pieces they brought in. But I think Colorado, like, I don't think you can expect them to go 9-3. 10-2, something like that this year. I just don't. I don't feel like that's realistic. I do think if 6-6, 7-5. I think Christian. I don't remember if you picked him to go 8-4 this year or something like that. But like, look, Colorado. I mean, my thoughts. Dion. I think he's in a tough spot this year. When you lose that many pieces offensively, especially he lost his other son on the other side of the ball as well. You lost your whole wide receiver core. I forgot to bring that up as well. It's going to be tough this year. I mean, it's the Big 12 though, Christian. We talk about it. Anything can happen in that conference. But I do think Colorado will be a good team this year. I don't think they'll be great. I don't think they're going to be terrible. I don't think you're going to see a 4-8 season like Dion's first season. That's for sure.
Yeah, my question, Chris, and you touched on it. They lose a lot in terms of production. Some of their best players. I mean, they lost 4 of their top returning receivers from last year, leading receivers. Colorado did. But what is this offense going to look like? This was a team that ranked dead last year in terms of running the football. You're breaking in a new quarterback. You've got new weapons there. You struggled at running the football. What are they going to be able to look like against a pretty staunch Georgia Tech rush team? Now, the thing I have highlighted here, the one thing you could do a little bit last year against Georgia Tech was throw the football, right? Caden Salter, I don't think he's quite as good as Shador Sanders, if you want me to be honest. I think even Colorado fans would admit that. I do think he's a serviceable quarterback. Throwing him together, kind of like a gumbo, if you will. Is it going to be ready to go week 1 against Georgia Tech? And a Brent Key, who's, again, he's a pretty staunch coach in his own way there. I don't quite know. You flip it around here for Colorado, and you look at what Colorado did well last year. On the other side of it, and what Georgia Tech does well offensively. Georgia Tech runs the football really well. I thought at parts last year, Colorado struggled, or Georgia Tech was good at throwing the football. I didn't think they were elite by any stretch, but they did what they needed to do when they needed to do it with Haynes King. So if you're Colorado, are they going to be, they're better at shutting the pass down compared to the run. They ranked 71st in that category last year, run defense. if you're Georgia Tech, are they going to be able to run the ball at will with Jamal Haynes and Malachi Hosley, some of those guys that they bring in? That's going to be a big question as we get into this. Before we go further here, Lane, I want to kind of come back to you. What is your predictions for Georgia Tech this year? Not just outside of this game, just competing with the ACC in the national stage.
It's tough to say because, I mean, I've looked at our schedules in years past and comparing it to what we have this year. This is probably one of the easier schedules we've had in years. I'm not downing the ACC or anybody, but you avoid like Louisville, Miami, SMU. You avoid a lot of teams that are real problem makers in the ACC.
You're right. I think there's a lot of national pundits that have come out and said, Tech might be a sleeper team this year. They could go on a run, maybe end up with a chance to play Clemson and for the ACC title at the end of the year. Are you willing to make those predictions yet?
It really is going to depend. If you look at the schedule up and down, we probably, if you just ask me just point blank right now, I say we're a 10-9 win, at worst 8-win team. That's where I'm at, between 8 and 10.
Yeah. Let's go.
Let's go. All right.
But,
you guys are beating Georgia this year, right?
I do. It's not even like, I'm just going to, I'm never going to be an idiot because there's years where I know we wasn't going to. I'll still go cheer them on. I'm not going to sit here and just openly say, I hope we do. No, I hope we win every game. But it's just looking objectively at what Georgia has coming back and a lot of question marks. Now, Gunnar Stockton isn't going to be bad at all. I want people to misunderstand because Gunnar Stockton, I think, is going to be pretty good. But what they lose is a lot on the line of scrimmage. I know that they're getting, good recruits, 4 or 5-star players, but it's a lot of I want to say unproven, but it's like a lot of less game experience than, they've had.
Yeah, absolutely. Georgia Tech definitely on the upswing there. And, one thing that needs to be mentioned, Aaron Philo, your guys' backup quarterback, he played a little bit last year. Wasn't he responsible for that upset over Miami, if I'm not mistaken?
Partially.
He was a kid that played at, was it Prince Christian Avenue High School, Prince Avenue, where our boy Brock Vandergriff, former Georgia quarterback, sat the bench for 8 years and then went to Kentucky, played 1 year and decided to retire and get a head start on coaching. He was over there, but set all kinds of record at the Georgia high school level. So he's pretty serviceable as well.
Oh, yeah.
Lane, just while we have you, what do you have to say? Is Tech's offense, are they going to be able to kind of take more strides forward at throwing the ball this year, even with that loss of Eric Singleton?
Oh, I fully believe they can because, everybody's going to be, they're going to run the ball, which that's their identity. They're going to want to run the ball. But I think, with Haynes King having another year, Buster Faulkner getting more players in, the depth at the receiver position, is building a lot better because, years past, I can name your 4 receivers, but after that, you kind of, is this guy good? Is that guy? But we got a lot of depth, so I think we're going to be able to spread out a bit more.
One thing I'll say, and then we'll jump into the meat and potatoes, the score prediction for this game. Is the interesting thing with Brent Key is he's wanted to build a program that's tough on both sides of the trenches there, run the football, control the clock, pound you in the mouth. The one interesting part of this, you guys get Blake Gideon, former Texas safety, coming over, right, to be your defensive coordinator this year. He's been around that Texas Steve Sarkisian place. He's kind of had an interesting run here as a safeties coach, first-time defensive coordinator. You got a lot of faith in that?
I do, because I think he's going to be able to bring out, like you said earlier, that our run defense was fine last year. Actually, one of the better ones in the country, if you look at just by game. But you look at pass defense, which is part of the reason I think they actually brought him in, is he's going to probably be able to bring the level of the play of the secondary up to where we're going to be able to actually really try and have a good defensive unit.
I agree. Well, Chris, you want to start us off here, hombre? You want to talk a little? What's your score prediction for this?
Yeah, bro just called me hombre. Yeah, no. Look, you know me. I want to add a little bit on Georgia Tech. I'm high on them too. You know, we didn't do a preview and prediction video of Georgia Tech this year, but I have them going 9-3 this year. I do. I like Georgia Tech. I think they can compete for an ACC title. I think that game against Clemson is going to be huge. I think it's week 3. I like I said, I'd love to see Georgia Tech knock off Clemson personally, but I do think that's going to be a really, really key game for them this season. But with that being said, you know, we talked about Colorado a little bit. I do think there'll be a decent team this year. I don't think Colorado is anything great or going to compete for a Big 12 title this year or anything. But I like Georgia Tech in this game. Christian, I'm going to give you the score. I got 31-23 Yellow Jackets.
Alrighty, I'll give you mine. We'll finish up with Lane here. Yeah, I've got Georgia Tech 31, Colorado 24. Chris, I don't know what it is
God
with you,
damn,
dog.
man. God
we never
damn.
we never consult with this, but somehow come just
No.
close enough. You fucker. Anyways, if you wanted to beat, here's my points on this. If you wanted to beat Tech last year, you had to score 30 plus points to do it. Only one time that didn't happen last year. I think it was a game against Virginia Tech. Yeah, 21-6 there. But Colorado, I think, has the potential to make some noise in the Big 12 this year. I just don't think that offense gels right away in the first game. I think they might be pretty stagnant for a half and then all of a sudden make some adjustments and start figuring some things out in the second half. Too little, too late. Here's another thing I found interesting just from a statistical standpoint. Last year, Tech went 1-4 on the road, while Colorado was 5-1 at home. So who's going to switch here? Are we going to continue that trend, or do we see a reversal of that trend going into this year? Lane, I want to hear your thoughts.
I think that's definitely going to be reversed. Ironically, the one game that Tech won on the road last year was at North Carolina, who had the greatest defensive mastermind, as we all know, in Jeff Collins. As you can clearly see, when James Madison ripped 70 points on your defense, it's wonderful, wonderful. No, but, you know, Syracuse was a good team last year. I was on the road. Virginia Tech, that game, Haynes King was out, injured. You know, they just offense couldn't get going that game. They didn't really play Aaron Philo that game. There's another team. We lost to Georgia on the road, but I mean, we took that game to the little brim. So you look at a lot of the games on the road, they have a lot of, you know, I wouldn't say asterisks, but like there's a lot of factors of what if on those.
Absolutely. Would you have a score prediction? Who's winning this game here, Lane?
I do have us winning. I got a definitely bigger score prediction than y'all do. I have it as Colorado 21, Georgia Tech 38.